Hello everyone, Bill here, and we are moving on in our prep for our England trip to Wales, specifically Northern Wales. We touched Southern Wales a little bit in the last section. Tintern Abbey is actually in Wales, just across the river. One side's England, one side's Wales, so I didn't really count it. And on that trip, I'm really not. That trip, I did go to Southern Wales, Cardiff, and those areas. This was, the northern part of Wales. If you only had to choose one, the northern part of Wales is certainly the more rugged. National Park, Snowdonia National Park, and others that we'll cover in a second. So on this trip, we're heading to North Wales, and we're going to be there for 3 days. Day one, we're going to travel to it and really spend our time in the village of Conwy. The second day, we're going to go to Carnarvon and the Bodant Gardens and those areas. And day three, we're just going to basically tour Snowdonia National Park. Now, why this area? Quick story. With my last name, I thought for most of my life that I was predominantly German. Pritchard, I thought was German. There's a story. I had a German great grandmother who would speak German in our house and spend the summers with us when I was a very young child. So I just thought German was it. And then I did one of those DNA tests a few years back, 23andMe or something through Ancestry.com. I can't recall which one. And imagine my surprise when I found out that I was predominantly Welsh. And so then after looking at it, Pritchard is a English and Welsh name. And so when I did my DNA test and the bullseye on that map came back where the highest percentage of my bloodline lies, it's Conwy, Wales. Now, Conwy itself is right on the coast. It has one of the Edward I castles. So it's a gorgeous walled city, the best preserved walled city in all of Britain. So it's a fantastic place to go to. So that's the reason we're going there. And there is a plethora of things to say. Now, my Welsh is horrible. In fact, I don't speak any Welsh. So I can guarantee you that any Welsh word I'm saying, I'm going to destroy. It's going to be terrible how I pronounce it. But again, looking at this area, it's a peninsula area that stretches out toward the Irish Sea. The Irish Sea is what you look at when you're in Conwy. So you think Ireland just across the water there. It's just absolutely drop dead gorgeous there. It's mountainous and lots of slate, a lot of graphite, a lot of great hiking. So we came from the bubolic beauty of the Cotswolds. And next we're going to be going to the Lake District, and this is in between. But this is really where my blood is from. And so I wanted my wife to be able to see this as well. So what to see? Well, again, Conwy itself is a classic place. We'll be going up through the passes to drive from the Cotswolds up through there. We'll see some mountain country, but really the goal is to get to Conwy so we can do the Conwy Castle and we can do the city walls and that. So there's a walk hike through the city that St. Rick has put together for everyone. It's just it'll be our home base for these 3 days. And so basically the afternoon and the evening, we're just going to focus in that area. There's some great restaurants. The smallest house in Britain is there. It's right on the coast, so fresh sea, saltwater air, mussels, you name it, this is the place to be. And it is just beautiful, quintessentially beautiful walled village with a gorgeous castle that's been well maintained right there on the water. So that'll be most of our first day. Now, around the area, again, we have unbelievable sites. There's Carnarvon Castle. I'm saying that wrong, but this is where the Prince of Wales is actually interred. So when he receives his title, when Prince Charles got the title Prince of Wales, it's at this castle that they give it to him. So it's a gorgeous place down the road about an hour from Conwy, right on the coast as well. There's a string of Edward I castles. I think there's 6 of them, or 5 or 6. They go all the way up and down this area. Absolutely gorgeous. So we'll be through there. I mentioned the Bodant Gardens, 80 acres of gorgeousness just outside of it. And then there's a number of these beautiful little mountain villages that Betsy Coed, I don't know how to say it right. I mentioned Snowdonia National Park. There's a place called Begeldert, which if I got that wrong, Amberside. These are just some really beautiful things down and through that area. And we'll be spending. That's the primaries. Now there's a ton of secondaries too. It's just really your cup of tea. Are you a hiker? Are you a museum person? A lot of outdoor museums around the slate trade and the graphite trade. Big heaps of slate, because this is where most of the slate, you think of a slate roof, this is where it came from in the world. Certainly during the medieval times and beyond that to this day, it still comes out of this area. So there's tremendous national slate museums and slate caverns and all of these beautiful things, along with these mountains that you've got these gorgeous valleys, an aqueduct system that runs through them. Some beautiful slate homes from the original very wealthy people that made their money off of the slate trade. It's just every corner is picturesque, many pullouts, and because also there's a national park, trails upon trails, hiking, there's trains that go to the top, plenty to see here. We will have trouble seeing it all in 3 days. Now, because Conwy is our home base, the places to stay we're more limited. There's a tremendous number of pretty good places around, but I focused in one area, and there was two that stood out. There's the Castle Hotel right on the main drag, which has got also a fantastic restaurant. I believe the restaurant's name is Shakespeare's. Fantastic place. And then there's the Gwenifrin Bed and Breakfast. I'm probably blowing that. I had a chance to stay there this last time. Such an endearing lady that runs the place that I had to bring my wife back just to meet her. She's the bed and breakfast itself is small. It's right in the center of everything. It's a perfect location inside the city walls. You actually have to park your car outside and walk back in, but it's not a very large village. You can do that quite simply. So I'm really looking forward to sitting on that porch and having some drinks with the owner and letting my wife get a chance to meet her. Now in Conwy itself, great food, but there's food everywhere. There's Watson's Bistro. There's Shakespeare's, I mentioned. There's the Erskine Arms outside. There's Alfredo's restaurant just down the street, which is family fare, but pretty good. There's bistros abound. So in each one of these cities, Carnarvon has got a great area, the hole in the Wall Street, and they've got, I think it's called Palace Street. There's streets all over with really good seafood, really good on the water, fresh items, because this is that Irish North Sea rugged part of Wales. So quite gorgeous, and I'm really looking forward. I'm hoping that you'll come back and see the pictures. And you know what? How to describe it? It's not Yosemite. It's more Yellowstone. It's certainly got some Rocky Mountain feel to it. They're certainly not as high, not even close, but there's just this spirit to the place. You know, you put mist and mood and gloom and it can really be quite striking. In those areas. It is also greatly loved, maybe to death. When I was there in August of last year, you couldn't even find a parking spot. But that was also during some times of COVID, so people were really structured on the outside, and it was in the fall. I'm hopeful that has settled down a little bit because it was so loved. You honest to goodness couldn't even experience any of it. It would be like Yosemite or Yellowstone on the worst possible days in the United States. And you know, if you've ever experienced that with just so many people were literally in the middle of the road having picnics because the cars just couldn't move. And it was too much for me. So I'm really looking forward to this. It is where I'm from. It is my heritage. I've adopted a Welsh soccer team, go Swansea. So I'm trying to embrace it a little bit more. But the area itself is gorgeous. There's the standouts are the castles. Conwy and Carnarvon are the standouts, and then that national park of what you spend time in. So there you go. Look closely at the post. I'll post all the stuff that our patron saints Rick Steves and the Lonely Planet people have highlighted, along with some places in some other villages that honestly I'm not staying, but maybe you will be staying in some of these places. If there's a starred gotta go place, I'll certainly try to put that out there too for your investigation yourself when you prep to head over to Wales. So until next time, where we're going to be going to the Lake District, take care.